You've probably been playing for a while already, and by now you realize that doubles is a completely different sport than singles. And it's super crucial that you understand the differences. So by the time you finish watching this video, you're gonna realize what the differences are and why it's crucial that you understand these differences and you treat them as two different sports. And also, I'm gonna give you important suggestions on what you should be doing as a baseline player and a net player. So let's start by understanding why it is crucial that you make a huge difference between doubles and singles. Number one, way too many players play singles in a doubles court. And I'm sure you've heard this from other pros. And what does that mean? That means that that person is not taking into consideration that you have a partner, that your mission is to, as a baseline player, is to try to set up your player at the net. And at the end, I'm going to get a little bit more into the mission of the baseline player as opposed to the mission of the net player. Number two, you have less space to hit. Even though you have a bigger court, there are more people on the court. So you have to be a lot smarter and more accurate with your strokes. So basically, you have to build the point a little bit more than just sometimes in singles where you could basically just return that ball and sometimes create a winner. There are way too many people on the court that they're probably going to get to that ball. The third reason why I think it's crucial that you separate these two sports, doubles and singles, is because in doubles, you want to try to keep that ball low the majority of the time. Why? Because you have a partner at the net if you're playing doubles correctly, if you're going one person on the baseline and one person at the net. And in singles, that's not necessarily the case. In singles, the higher the ball goes over the net, the more depth you're going to create. In doubles, you want to try to become really good at keeping that ball low, which means you want to try to perfect your slice forehand and your slice backhand. I recorded a video earlier about the forehand slice that I'm going to link over here, but it would be really good for you to go watch it and learn a little bit more about the technique of that stroke. So if you stay until the end of this video, I'm going to show you a strategy that worked like a charm for me when I was playing doubles. So my biggest advice when you're playing doubles is to realize that doubles has to be won at the net. You don't want to be trying to win your points from the baseline, because that means really you're not taking into consideration your partner. And this is a partnership. There's two people playing. Ideally, the person in the back should be setting the person in the front. So what you want to try to do is, if you're on the baseline, you want to try to get yourself up to the net as quickly as you can so that you can win the point at the net. So like I promised you in the beginning, I'm going to show you what you should be doing as a net player and what you should be doing as a returner, as a baseline player. So let's start with the net player. That person needs to wait with a neutral position, making sure that you can react if a forehand is coming or a backhand is coming. I see way too many people that favor one stroke over the other. And then what happens is, if the other person is smart and they see you expecting a backhand, guess what they're going to do? They're going to hit a forehand. And also, when you're trying to poach, if you're going this way with the racket and your intention is to poach this way, then it's going to take you forever to get that racket out in front. So ideally, I always tell my students, you want to try to keep your elbows away from you so that you ideally are using your wrists and your elbows to pivot and to hit the ball. The closer that your arms are to your body, the more that you're going to invite the shoulders to rotate. Although they can rotate, they're not as fast and they're not going to give you as much space as your shoulder and your hands would. Number two, if you're the net player, then you want to try to position yourself in the middle of your court. And your court goes from the center line to the doubles sideline. Now, The positioning has to change depending on whether you guys are returning or you guys are serving, your partner is serving. So if you're returning, you're basically in a defensive position, right? So you want to be close to the service line. And then as soon as that person hits the ball, depending on how good that ball went and how deep and how hard, then you want to move in a little bit closer and you want to move in the direction of the ball. So if my partner hit that return cross court, then I'm going to move forward and I'm going to go left to try to cover for that easiest shot, which in their situation would be going down the line. Now, if my partner is serving, then we're in aggressive position. So again, I'm going to be placing myself in the middle of my court, but this time I'm going to place myself a little bit closer to the net, depending on how much you trust your volleys or if your intention is to poach. You don't want to make it too obvious and get super close to the net and basically invite your opponents to lob over your head. But what you want to do is the same thing. As soon as your partner hits that ball, then you want to follow that ball to the right or to the left and forwards. If you're going to poach, then ideally after that ball goes by you and that ball bounces on the other side of the court and that person is looking down, look at their hips and then go. If their hips are in whichever direction the hips are opening, that's probably where they're going to go. So if they're opening in the direction of the person that just served, then go for it. That means they're going cross court. Now, if they're opening in the direction of the doubles alley, I wouldn't go. I would stay. So check out their hips and position yourself in the right way. Don't rush it. Number 3, the net person needs to track every single ball. And for this matter, everybody needs to track the ball wherever it's going. So what does that mean? It means that you have to be moving according to where that last ball was hit. So if my partner hit the ball to my right, then I'm going to move a little bit more to the right. And that basically has to do with covering what's high percentage for them. And usually high percentage is the easiest shot, which is, down the line. The closest point from A to B is a straight line. So I'm always going to try to cover that straight line. Yes, they can go cross court, they can hit an angle, but remember that the net is higher at the end of the net, it's lower in the middle, and there's a higher distance if you want to go cross court. So you're trying to cover the high percentage shots. Number 4, and I see this way too many times. The net person should only hit the ball if that person is going to be able to win it or if that person is going to be able to put their opponents in trouble. You don't want to just try and hit a ball just because you want to participate. You're going to put yourself in danger and you're going to put your partner in danger. So unless you can win it or put them in trouble, create something, then don't do it. Just let that ball go. There are way too many times when that ball goes really close to that net player, but really low. In my opinion, I wouldn't go because I can't really do much with that ball. So I'm just going to let my partner do whatever he or she can. And then whenever there's a little bit more height, then I'm going to try and do something. Number 5, do not ever look back at your partner. The reason why I think people do that is because they don't trust what that person is doing. And what you don't realize when you do this, when you turn back, is that you are completely taking yourself out of the situation. Your attention now is on your partner, and that person is going to do whatever they're going to do, regardless of whether you see them or not. You should be looking at your opponent as a net player. If I'm here, the first person that's going to be able to hit the ball is the net player on my opponent's side. So I want to be able to see my partner's ball go by my ear and then move according to where that ball went. So make a decision, trust what they're doing. Hopefully, if they're taking you into consideration as an important part of your team, they're gonna do the best that they can to try to set you up. Another thing that you have to realize when you're up front and you have your partner on the baseline is that they have you in their line of vision. You don't. So it's easier for them to make a decision based on what you did. So if you all of a sudden show the body language that you're gonna poach, they're gonna see you. And the moment that you start going towards the middle, then they're gonna also start going towards the middle and go back and cover the other side. So it goes back to trust. You have to trust what your partner is doing. When you start playing doubles, it is a partnership and you have to let that other person take care of 50% of the match, the strategy. So now let's talk about what you should do if you're in the position of the baseline player. So number one, like I've said in the beginning, your number one priority is to protect your partner at the net and to try to set up the point so that that person can win the point. Yes, you can go down the line. Yes, you can pass that net player, but that should happen once in a while. That should not be your main strategy. So ideally, when you return, the best way to try to protect your partner is to not make them move right away. So if you hit extreme cross court, then guess what? Your partner is going to have to move and cover that down the line. So the way to protect your partner in the beginning is to return and try to keep that ball in between the two players or try to return at that person that's on the baseline. That way your partner is in the picture. So sometimes the baseline players get into this endless rally going cross court. And all of a sudden the net player is trying to do something, but you can't. The reason why this happens is because the baseline player is only thinking about what they're doing. So if you want your net player to help you, you don't want to be trying to get that ball so wide. You want to try to go as deep as you can at that person's feet and keep it in the middle as much as you can so that your net player can participate and do something. My second suggestion has a lot to do with the first one, and it is in a way that you want to consider yourself as the builder and you want to consider your player at the net as the finisher, as the closer. So you're setting up the point so that he or she can finish it, or when you come up to the net and you join that person, then both of you can finish it at the net. Either of you can finish it at the net. My next suggestion is you want to try to come up to the net as soon as you can. Don't rush it, but find that perfect opportunity to join your partner at the net. Like I said in the beginning, doubles is won at the net. You don't want to plant yourself here on the baseline and rally forever and then cause anxiety to your net player who's going to be trying to help you. And, sometimes people make mistakes because they try to poach a little too soon. So as soon as you hit that ball, the way to be able to bring yourself to the net is by hitting really deep or by hitting really low. So use that slice on the forehand or the backhand to try to keep that ball low and then hit it deep and not so fast. The faster you hit that ball, the quicker that ball is going to get there and the less time you're going to have to come into the net. So if I drag that ball, I'm going to give myself a lot of time to come into the net. My next suggestion is you have to move with your partner and be their backup. Remember, you're coming from back here where you can see things a lot quicker and you can cover more ground back here. So you are the backup plan. So as you're coming into the net, take into consideration your net player. What situation are they in? Are they going to be attacked? Does it look like your opponents are gonna hit a lob, and if they do, then back up. Making that split step in time is gonna help you a lot to realize what's happening. Remember, you always wanna make that split step when your opponent hits the ball. At that point, you're gonna realize where they're going and what they're trying to do. My fifth suggestion is you have to make good decisions and then try to anticipate what's coming. Whenever the ball is on your side, it needs to be all about you. It needs to be all about the two of you, actually. So good decisions take into consideration your partner. What's a good decision? Setting the ball in the middle, maybe hitting a lob over the net player, and then setting something in motion, an attack, and then hopefully coming in. So anticipating has to do with respecting which side the ball is in. So when the ball is on my side, it is all about us. But when the ball is on that side, it is all about what they're doing. So how do you become good at anticipating? By putting yourself in the place of your opponent. What would you do if you were to hit that ball, if you were to be in that position? So let's say that I hit a really, really good lob it's going in the direction of the baseline. It's probably gonna bounce on the baseline, and I felt that it had a lot of topspin. So guess what? That ball's gonna jump up. Now, if I look at the body language and my opponent is starting to back up, don't stay here. You wanna move in. Anticipate the fact that they're probably gonna have a hard time, and they're probably gonna go with a lob, so I wouldn't go all the way to the net yet, and I would make that split step, but anticipate something defensive. Another great opportunity for anticipation that I always see people not taking advantage of is when the baseline player all of a sudden hits a really, really low shot and short that sometimes might look like a mistake, but it might end up being a really, really good thing for you guys because nobody was expecting it. So once you make that choice and once you hit that shot, stop thinking that it wasn't what you were trying to do or that it was a mistake. Try to read the body language and see if their timing was not good. And all of a sudden, if I see somebody running and the racket pointing up to the sky, guess what they're gonna do? They're probably gonna hit up, but they're probably not gonna have that much power. So I would anticipate what I would do if I was in that situation. Doubles has to be a perfect partnership. You have to make decisions together. You have to move forward to the net together. You have to move back together if you guys are being attacked. And you have to put yourself in your partner's shoes, regardless of where you are. If you're not hitting the ball, and if your partner's in trouble, then you're in trouble. So you have to put yourself in the shoes of your partner. Whatever is happening to your partner is happening to you, regardless of how aggressive you want to be. If your partner is being attacked, you're being attacked. So respect what's happening and then be able to neutralize the shot so that you can turn things around. You want to be really good at defending. Being able to defend is not a bad thing. There's always going to be a balance. Sometimes you're going to be defending, sometimes you're going to be attacking. So if you learn to defend well and to have patience and to turn things around slowly, then you're going to be able to put yourself in a better situation. So regard the fact that you're being defensive in a good way rather than thinking, oh my God, I'm in trouble and I'm a bad player and all that stuff that goes through your head. Is part of the game. So the one strategy that I used to do over and over when I was playing in the tour, when I was playing doubles, was what I call the teaser. And basically that was when I was on the baseline, I would try to tease the net player to go for a ball that they shouldn't be going. So basically what I wanted to do was to try and hit that ball close enough to that net player and far enough from the baseline player that the net player would think that they have to go for that ball. So if you want to do this, you want to make sure that that ball bounces close to the tee on the other side, and low enough, and you want to try to tempt that net player to go for it. So in your mind, you should be okay with that net player going for that ball. So it looks something like this. If you can get it somewhere in between the two players and low enough, aiming for the net, then you're going to tempt that person to go. Now, the harder you hit this ball, the more you're going to help that net player, because all they have to do is block the ball. So lower the pace, keep it low, keep it not so deep, and you might be able to tempt that person to go for something they shouldn't be, and hopefully they're going to pop the ball up, and one of the two of you is going to be able to put it away.